Since the day that I was born, my father brought me up to be an athlete. His dad, my grandfather, was a semi-professional hockey player in Montreal, Canada. My father was a Division I college hockey player at Brown, and of course, I was going to do the same. Just as with my older brother and my older sister, my dad jokes that he snuck a hockey puck into the sterile incubator where they put me when I was first born, to set the tone. Some of my earliest memories are being on skates, pushing a little crate around the frozen pond in the winter, not much after I first learned to walk. But I've also known, or at least suspected, that I was gay since a very young age. And the truth is that I never really had any doubt about who I was attracted to. I used to lay awake in bed, wondering when it would go away, when I would feel normal, night after night, through middle school and then high school, and it never went away. It wasn't fair. In the locker room, everything was about girls and who you wanted to hook up with and what you did with them. And I tried to play along, but I was so afraid that I would be found out, that I was a fraud, and worse, a fag. Because being gay was the worst insult you could think of in the locker room. It was associated with everything bad. The other team, they were all fags. The teacher who gave you a pop quiz, he was a fag. And even the test itself that he gave you was gay. Here I was, sitting next to my teammates, my best friends, and every third word out of their mouths made me feel so awful about myself. The incredible reality is that words matter. They matter so much. Even a small gesture can make a world of difference. For some, those words seem to build up over time and has led a number of teenagers to commit suicide in the past few years, which is just an unbelievably horrible thought. For me, those words made me feel afraid and alone and not good enough. But you know what? Just a few words can go in the completely opposite direction. One day in the high school locker room, and Mr. Wappy might remember that, he was a teammate of mine. A few of the guys happened to be reading a New England sports magazine that was left around in the gym. One of the feature articles was about a Massachusetts high school football player named Corey Johnson, who came out to his team. He was the captain, the linebacker, all-around tough guy, and nobody was about to mess with him. And you know what? My teammates reading about him, they didn't laugh at him or call him a fag. They shrugged their shoulders like it wasn't that big of a deal. They nodded their heads and they claimed this Corey Johnson guy to be a badass. And I agreed. And I thought then, that maybe, just maybe, one day, I'd be able to do what he did and come out to my team. It took about 3 years or so before I was finally ready to come out. Really, to be honest, to look back to where I was, it was awful. I would never want any kid, any of you guys, to experience the things that I felt. I felt such incredible pressure to fit in, to maintain my heterosexuality. I would purposely make out with girls at parties when my teammates were within sight. And of course, I was always too drunk to follow through on the hookup. My refuge was on the field. It didn't matter up there. Nothing mattered, except for working hard, doing your job, being a good teammate, and never giving up. And that's what kept me going. I thought, maybe, if I was good enough on the field, they would need me. They would need me so much They wouldn't even care if I was gay. And then it happened for me one spring, my sophomore year in college. I was named All-New England, and then a week later All-Ivy, and a few weeks later All-American and Team MVP. And what was stopping me? Being on the other side of it all, wow, what a difference. No more lies, no more lying every day. Getting to have my boyfriend at the post-game reception. There's no feeling like it. And of course, it wasn't always perfectly smooth. The first fall term back on campus, after I came out, we were all in the gym stretching prior to the first strength and conditioning workout of the year. A freshman was talking to the guy behind him until he said the word FAG and then quickly caught himself. And everyone stopped their conversations and the entire room fell silent. I didn't know if I should take him aside and tell him, it's okay, I know he's not a bad guy, he's trying to watch what he says, and it just sort of slipped out. But I didn't have to say anything. Later that day, he sent me an email just saying, I've got your back. A few days later, a senior on the team and I were jogging back to the locker room from practice. He pointed out the New Hampshire state flag that was hanging from the stadium. He said, that flag is so gay. Oh, shit, I'm sorry. And I just sort of laughed and I said, why don't you just be more descriptive and say what you actually mean? That flag is boring and lame and not very interesting. Well, okay, you're probably right, but in the future, if you absolutely have to use the term gay, I really appreciate if you associate it with good things. Look, I know how lucky I am to have had the support system around me that I did, and it's not that way for everyone. Kids, even today, are getting kicked out of their homes, locked outside by their parents when they come out. Kids are getting kicked off their teams. It's not perfect for everyone. But I had a good experience, and maybe mine is one that's important to tell and to share. And I think that's what ESPN was thinking when you saw the video last week. When they approached me to do the story for SportsCenter, I was initially hesitant. I was a lacrosse player. Just like anyone else on the team or in the league, I didn't want to be singled out, or worse, praised, just for being myself. I had no interest in that kind of attention, unless it was going to be a game highlight for a kick save or a behind-the-back pass. Lacrosse players out there know what I'm talking about. But I started to think about what it would have meant to me as a scared, closeted high schooler, to see that it was okay for a college athlete to just be gay. And I actually cried. I knew that I had to do it. Not had to like it was some terrible burden, but it was my opportunity, my chance to have a voice and to make a difference. And all I had to do was be exactly who I am. Within hours of that ESPN video, I had hundreds of emails in my inbox. Within days, it was in the thousands. And I still receive Facebook messages basically every day from someone who has since come across the story. Because there are a lot of us out there. Some people will write to tell me that they completely understand what I felt like, because they're going through the exact same thing as a closeted athlete. Some will say they wish their team or family was more supportive like mine was, and they don't feel comfortable in their situation, or their school, or their team, or their family to come out. Others say that knowing it was okay for me gave them the courage to be themselves and to come out. And I remember one kid in particular who said that he watched the video sitting next to his parents. Since he had come out to them, they were having a really tough time with it. because they didn't see him being able to both be gay and play the sports that he loved. But after watching, they hugged and they cried together, and he said it seemed like they were finally able to get past it. So to those who might throw around the term fag in a casual way, and you really don't think you're hurting anyone because you don't mean anything by it, well, my teammates did the same thing, and they had no idea that I was gay, sitting next to them in the locker room when they threw around those terms. And it really hurt. And you just never know who you might be hurting. Part of the reason that the world of sports is so homophobic is because there aren't enough openly gay and lesbian athletes to stand up against it. It's really easy to bash a faceless enemy. So I'm here today with my good friend Dave Farber. He was an openly gay captain and leading scorer of the hockey team at Penn. And Dave and I are here to put a face on this. When you say the word fag, you're insulting us. You're telling us that we are somehow less than you. And when we're not going to be here to defend ourselves, I'm going to ask the rest of you, all of you, to stand up for us. To stand up for your friends and your teammates. And don't let it be okay to use degrading language. Stand up against bullying of any kind. It's time for you to really support your teammates and your friends.